All right, in today's video, we're taking a look at the Merach S29 Pro exercise bike. And to be honest, I initially took this on with the thoughts of comparing it to the Peloton Bike Plus, which you guys know I've made a lot of videos on that I really like. But I got to thinking, is it really fair to compare a bike like this that retails for under $400 to a bike that costs over 6 times the amount at over $2,400 in the Peloton Bike Plus? And my honest answer is no. However, despite the fact that this is a budget-friendly bike, it does have some pretty sweet premium features, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. All right, so I want to start here on the monitor or display because, to be honest, a common complaint is the monitor usually isn't up to par on these budget-friendly options compared to the more expensive bikes, treadmills, or rowers that we see. Now, in this case, you get a very simple option with a one-color display. You get a couple of buttons on front that allow you to cycle through 8 different built-in programs, adjust the resistance of the bike, which is really nice to see on a budget-friendly option, as well as see some other metrics. So if you wanted to, you could use the bike as is with the built-in programming. And because the monitor is so simplistic, it actually doesn't require batteries, doesn't require any external power. So this bike is actually completely wireless in that regard, where you could move this around easily in your home and set it up without having to worry about plugging it in. Now, with the lack of the monitor itself, you're not at a loss because there is a place to put a phone or a tablet and connect to the Merach app, which you can then get a more normal experience if you're looking for a dedicated video or class, or you just want to watch something while you bike. The nice thing is you can then also screencast that onto a bigger TV, like I like to do when in use, to get a more immersive experience. Now, again, the nice thing about not having one of those big bulky displays is that you might not use it in the first place if you just want to use the built-in programs in the bike itself. You can reuse your own devices to your liking, which already have all your favorite apps and media on it. And as well as it just cuts down on the total cost because you're not paying for that external monitor, which you then have to plug in. So it's a win-win all around, in my opinion. So jumping on the bike, there's a couple of other things to talk about. I mentioned already how you can adjust the resistance of the flywheel right from the display, which given the ergonomics is super simple to do. There is a knob down here like you will see on other bikes. However, this is just to stop the flywheel itself. Now, speaking of the flywheel, you get a 40-pound version of one here, so big and beefy, which leads to some really smooth action in pedaling. Again, that is controlled by the display, which is just right at your fingertips. And you also get a lot of adjustability in the bike, from the handlebars going up and down, forward and back, to the seat going up and down, forward and back, as well as coming with a very padded seat that, even though I'm 220-ish pounds, I'm well beneath the 350-pound weight capacity of this bike. And as you can tell, despite its small footprint, it actually is really kind of smooth and really quiet. Now, I will note that as you start to get going on here, and depending on how into your ride you get, you will see some movement on the bike, but that's common across the board of bikes of this stature. So on this particular bike, you actually get a cage design for your foot, so nothing that you need to clip in. It is adjustable as well, so you can tighten these down. This is great if you're sharing the bike across multiple users or you don't want to purchase cycling shoes. If you really did want to go that route, you could replace these as they attach, like the same way that any other cycling bike would attach pedals to. I will just note that I do wish that the foot plate was actually a little bit adjustable, just because depending on how big or little your feet are, you don't really have many options in that sense to adjust this forward or backwards. This bike also has wheels on the front, like most pieces of cardio equipment these days do. But again, because this is completely wireless and the bike itself is a little bit lighter at around 80-ish pounds, it's super easy to just tilt this thing up and move it wherever you need to via the rolling wheels. But like, even for me, I've been keeping this in my garage some. And again, the nice thing is that it is fairly light, where you can just bend down, pick it up, and easily move it, yet it still stays stable enough when you ride it. You also get 2 fairly large cup holders to hold your favorite beverages while you ride, as well as a holder on the back for dumbbells of your choosing. I will say, however, there's not a lot of room between these, so they have to be smaller head dumbbells, and you're probably limited to about 5 pounds on these. So probably the coolest feature of this bike, and the one that really got me to test it out, was the fact that it has auto resistance, meaning that if you're doing the programming built into the monitor or connected to the Merach app and taking some of their classes, the bike will auto adjust the resistance as you need it or as the instructor dictates, which is something typically only found in very higher end bikes. And I found that this works extremely well with almost no delay, even on Bluetooth when connected to the Merach app. All right, so there's a lot to like about this bike, but there are two things that I would like to see improved or left me wanting a little bit more. Number one was the leg extension I got while riding. I'm a little bit taller at 6'3", and I found while riding the bike, I just wasn't getting the leg extension I wanted, even though all of the adjustments were maxed out in terms of my seat position. So ideally, I'd like my leg at about 80 to 90%, and I felt like it was more in the 70% range, and it was definitely noticeable while riding this bike compared to some of my other bikes that I've owned. Now, a simple fix would just be adding a couple more slots or length to the tubing to allow for a couple of higher positions, because I do feel it's somewhat limited in that regard. But again, if you're shorter than me or maybe don't want almost that 90% extension, then that would not be an issue for you. The other thing I'd like to see improved is more time and effort put into the Merach app. Now, it's great that they have a free version of it. There is a paid version as well that offers you even more. But in the free version and the classes, I've just found the instructors and the music choices just aren't as engaging as some of the other apps that I've used in the past. Now, the good news is you could connect to like the Zwift app or other biking apps that are out there if you're a more in-tune cyclist. Or of course, you could just use the programming that's built into the bike and watch your favorite shows or stories, or you can even pay for other apps as well. But again, that's just something that I noticed riding the bike, that the actual experience through the app was not as enjoyable as other ones that I've had my hands on, but have cost me money out of my pocket. All right, so what's my final opinion on this bike? There's a lot of nice things to like about it with a couple of nitpicks, but when you take into account the price, I think for a budget-friendly option, this is one of the better ones out there. If you look at Merach's site right now, this bike is listed at just about $600, but to be honest, I've never seen it not on sale. So right now, I think it currently lists for $380. There is a Black Friday coupon, which would knock $20 off, but you're better off using one of the affiliate discount codes, myself included, if you're interested in this, which is going to knock this down to about $342. They tag on some shipping insurance protection, which I'm sure you can get rid of. But for about $350 delivered, you get a lot of bike for not a lot of money. Now, again, the things I like most about this is it's a very smooth, comfortable, and quiet ride, as you can tell as I pedal along here during the course of this video. It offers some higher end features like the auto resistance, which I think is a necessity and complete game changer when you're using a bike like this and taking classes. The classes itself you can take for free if you don't want to pay for a subscription. There is a lot of free stuff that you can use. There's built-in programming in the bike. You can connect your own monitor, and there's no cables or cords, and the bike is on wheels and fairly light, so easily removable. So if you don't want anyone to know you're doing cardio, you can easily tuck this away somewhere in your house. Let me know what you think about this bike in the comment section below. In the meantime, as always, thanks for watching and stay big.